Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special meeting of the Portland City Council. It is now 6:30 p.m., and I'm going to call our meeting to order. Mr. Delat, will you please call the roll? I'm sorry, Mr. Delat isn't even here.
I'll be happy to call roll.
Ms. Weisenberger,
Mayor Scarrow,
here.
Councilmember Bethel.
Here.
Councilmember Moore,
Here.
Councilmember Albrecht,
Here.
Councilmember Sutton.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem John Green and Councilmember Wilson have excused absences.
Thank you very much. Okay, there's Mr. Delat, so he is now here. So, for those of you that are wondering, we just had a meeting, a previous meeting, so we took a little break, so a couple people were out of the room. All right, we're going to begin our special meeting with let's go ahead. I guess we need to follow the agenda. Let's deal with public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to give public comment regarding the special notice that you received? I don't have any speakers. Okay. You pass them forward. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. Patty Flurkey, if you'd like to come to the podium. and,
Mayor, is this on the actual public hearing on item number 4, or is this public comment on non? This is public comment,
Public comment.
right?
So Ms. Flurkey, would you like to give public comment, or would you like to talk about the item on the agenda?
Item on the agenda.
All right, so if you don't mind, I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and have you listen to the presentation first, and maybe that'll answer some of your questions, and then we'll have you come back. All right, okay. Anybody else who would like to make public comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to the item number 4, which is public hearing. City Council will conduct a first public hearing to solicit comments from citizens and other interested parties concerning the proposed annexation of approximately 1,279 acres of land lying adjacent to the city of Portland, Texas, into the territorial limits of Portland, Texas, Phase 2. It is 6:33 p.m. We're going to recess the special city council meeting and go into our public hearing. Ms. Munoz.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the first public hearing for the proposed annexation of approximately 1,279 acres into the city of Portland city limits. We're referring to this annexation as Phase 2. Please note, development agreement applications have been mailed to the property owners and are in the agenda packets. We also have a copy of this agreement on our city website. In September of 2022, City Council received a presentation from our consultant city planner, Friesen Nichols, outlining an annexation strategy for 3 annexation phases. This public hearing is in advance of a proposed consideration by City Council for the annexation of this tract of land at the February 7th City Council meeting. We have with us this evening via Zoom, Mr. Dan Sefko and Ms. Erica Craycraft with Friesen Nichols. Erica will give a presentation for the Phase 2 annexation. Erica? Yes, we are.
Non-residential areas that generate more substantial property and sales tax, and the proposed annexation that aligns with Portland's comprehensive plan. Phase 2 is the second of a 3-phased approach. More specifically, we're looking at the area in the red circle to the far west. The city's draft future land use map shows that Phase 2, located here again in the red circled area, the city's long-range land use plan recommends that this area will be used primarily for low-density residential uses. The annexation area aligns with the previously annexed FM 893 right-of-way, extends west, taking in a segment of FM 1074, then northward, staying 10 feet east of the County Road 67 right-of-way, and then closes back aligning with the previous annexations to the north. This area does include 2 residential properties and several oil and gas operations. The city is required to offer development agreements to any landowner with an agricultural, wildlife, or timber exemption on the property. The exempt status is determined by the county appraisal district. It is not determined by the city, and the exemption excludes any home sites and improvements. For any property owner who signs a development agreement with the city, no city taxes will be assessed, and the area is considered part of the ETJ until it develops or for a period of at least 15 years. This is the first of 2 public hearings on the proposed annexation. In 1 week from today, on January 24th at 5 p.m., that is the deadline to request a development agreement from the city. 2 weeks from then, on February 7th at noon, is the deadline to submit that signed development agreement back to the city. And then later that evening, also on February 7th, City Council will consider adoption of the annexation ordinance. Looking at some frequently asked questions, can I continue my use? Yes, any use that is legal today may be continued. What city services will be provided to the annexed land? Police, fire, EMS, and garbage collection are provided immediately upon annexation. Also, road maintenance for any non-TxDOT roads that are annexed, and eventually water and wastewater service unless the property is in another service provider's boundary. Am I required to connect to city water and sewer? Generally, no, only if you have a septic tank or a water well that requires major repairs and if those services are available in your area. And am I eligible for a development agreement? Any property that has an agricultural, wildlife, or timber exemption from the county appraisal district is eligible for a development agreement. And if you would like to request the development agreement, you can email or call the city secretary Annette Hall at the information shown on the screen. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, so at this time, Ms. Flurkey, if you'd like to come forward and ask any questions.
I want someone with a little more class to be the speaker first, but y'all are gonna get me, so. In this phase, that does not really connect with what the young lady just spoke about down 893. But this is in the Taft School District. This is annexing 68 acres of a 78-acre tract. Why they didn't catch the 10, that's the appraisal district's fault, I guess, or y'all's planning fault. But these are all ag, and the reason y'all want them is because David Krebs and the city let the port take everything. And I know that y'all have no taxing basis for further industry. I don't believe it'll ever be for homes. I believe it'll be processing plants or tank farms. We hope we don't lose any more cotton and grain land to those sort of things, because who's going to clothe and feed the world when they're taking up 90% of our land around here? But I just don't see legally or ethically how y'all can come to us after y'all gave away all your taxing ability, and now y'all have taxed us. I'm on 181, and now y'all have taxed us. The port's taxed us all the way to Taft. And somebody dropped the ball. I mean, the Port of Corpus Christi does not call, they think they call the rules. But if you got the citizens of San Patricio County together, I hate to tell them, they would not agree. Barbara Canales can go home, and John LaRue got out at just the right time. But back to the land. That land, if it's going to be anything, it'll be, nobody wants to build a home next or within a half a mile of 15 gigantic tank farms that would blow half the country away if it ever exploded. We have pipelines underneath these grounds. Nobody wants to really build a home on top of a natural gas line. Y'all want the money, and I understand that because you lost the money to the Port of Corpus Christi, but that is not the landowner's fault. And I spoke to my attorney in Corpus, and he said, yeah, that agreement sounds good, and it gives you the rollback tax protection should you sell for $30,000 an acre or $50,000 an acre or $20,000 an acre. But those pipelines that run underneath you, or we have a couple of landlords that have wind turbines, they can come back and sue us when they have to pay those rollback taxes. There's no indemnification against the pipeline companies or the wind turbine companies. So y'all aren't looking out for the landowner. And are you from the appraisal district, ma'am?
Me?
Are you with the city, or who are you with?
No, Erica Craycraft is with our consultants that help us with
You're a
annexations.
consultant. You don't live in Taft, I can tell, and you're not a farmer, I can tell. But that's just my plea. It's not our fault that mistakes were made and the port sucked up all the tax bases. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's not our fault. I didn't know that the port was taking all the land to Taft until the mayor of Taft started trying to land grab it. And she said, it's too late, they already did it without anyone's knowledge. So that's my plea. My husband's family has farmed for 125 years. I live right next to Exxon on 181. It takes me I was almost late. It took me 10 minutes to pull out of my driveway. And that's to turn right. To go to Taft, forget it. It's a little bit longer because the steel plant, who eventually Sam Pat's gonna get their money, thank goodness. That's one good company that I'm glad's here. I'm blaming the port, but I don't think Portland should be able to grab it just because they have to have more tank farms, they have to have more processing plants in order to access the port, and I'm surprised that the port hasn't tried to come get it too, but they know the farmers in San Patricio County are up in arms about stealing all the land tax base. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Flerkey. You said a lot of things tonight, and this is a public hearing, so we cannot respond to you. But I would like to talk with you and encourage you to talk to our staff because things that you said tonight are not factually correct. Okay. Mr. Ned Bollock? You can
It's right
get-
here, Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, councilman, and all the officials that are here. Say, farmland is dear to my heart and to all those people that own the land. The property that is in my name in this area that's to be annexed had about 2 miles worth of pipes laid on it before I bought it. So I had no benefit from the pipeline fees and funds that were sold. So that part of it is history. The bottom line of it is, like Patty was speaking of, that's not gonna, that's a pipeline corridor. And I don't know if you can pull that map back up to where we can see the map with the images, please. That's good. But that area, right where that, yes, that's what I'm thinking about. But the area that has that white sign in it is a pipeline corridor. Where that sign is, it's my understanding that that's the Telshic land, or part of it is. And if that's the case, and I'm assuming it to be accurate, they have probably 16 or 17 pipelines on that property, 200 and some odd acres. So there's no houses going to be built on top of those pipelines. and those easements that are in place for that. So maybe there is some protection for something, but it's also going to create a situation where if windmills were to be available for that property, it denies all those properties in there from being able to take advantage of a property value for that kind of thing. Maybe it's a solar farm, where they just put up solar collectors. But it also could be another tank farm. And to deny or to discourage a tank farm from coming into that area, I guess you could prevent it. I'm not really keen on the law about that. But if you're denying a tank farm or some structure like that, that is able to bring a premium value to the landowner on all or part of his property, that's just not American. And if China was coming in, wouldn't like that. But we don't want the state telling us what to do. We don't want the government telling us what to do on our farms. If it's our property that we own, we should have that right to do with it as we see fit, as long as it doesn't encroach on somebody else's privilege or respect their, their privacy, all those things that we treasure as Americans and Texans, certainly as farmers. Those things, I'm deeply entrenched with that, and I don't think there's a property owner that's in that area that doesn't feel the same way. And I just feel like we would like to exclude some of those areas or modify the language to where it lets some additional development happen that would be somewhat similar to what's, accepted or common in the area, that being a wind farm or a windmill farm. Those kind of things, I think, are just ownership opportunities that should not be prevented or denied by an annexation. So either change the language of that agreement to where it would accommodate somebody having the freedom to do those things that we're talking about, or carve out some kind of frontage. If that's what you want to protect, is the frontage, then just annex the frontage part on top of the pipeline for whatever good that would do. Certainly there's no services that will be provided in most of our lifetimes that far out of Portland. So I need a benefit for being annexed, and all I see is disadvantages for a landowner. And I think I speak for anybody that has property in that area. Certainly for me and my family, so we're not in favor of being annexed into Portland on that property. Questions, or is that not appropriate at this time?
Unfortunately, we can't
Okay,
our public
that's fine.
comment, our public hearings. So yes, we're taking your comments for our consideration
Okay.
for deliberation at another time.
Okay,
So,
but thank you for your
but I would encourage you to explore the development agreement. That way you will not be annexed into the city limits, and then work with the city on their comprehensive development plan for future activity.
Okay,
Okay?
that's fair enough. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that would like to make comments on our public hearing tonight? Okay, hearing none, there being no further business before the city, we're going to call our special meeting adjourned at 6:50 PM. Thank you very much.
y'all need the money, but you can't come get it from us. No, y'all are going, the port coming in and annex everything, all that industry. You want real good, the port meeting. They didn't purchase it, they didn't purchase Cheniere, they didn't purchase Exxon. Yeah.
All right, so it's on right now.
So we keep it on, how do you make it go? How can you do that?
Yep, that's it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 17th Portland City Council meeting. It is now 7 p.m., and I will call the meeting to order. Deputy City Manager Delat, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Scuro.
Here.
Councilmember Bethel.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Sutton.
Here.
Councilmember Albrecht.
Here.
Mayor, there is a quorum to conduct the business of the city of Portland this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 3 is our invocation and pledge. Councilman Moore, would you lead us in the pledge, and I'll lead us in our invocation. Please stand. Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening, and thank you for allowing us to have the privilege to represent the citizens of Portland. We come together tonight in gratitude and thanksgiving, and we hope that you will bless us in this coming year, the 2023 year. Bless us in all of our thoughts and our prayers as we conduct the business of the city. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Thank you. Item number 4 is our formal announcements, recognitions, and presentations. We're going to start tonight with introduction of new employees.
We have at least one, Mayor. 3. At least one, possibly 3.
Nice.
To introduce our staff from Development Services. As City Manager mentioned, we have one new employee and a couple faces you may have seen before. So in the back, we have Abigail Hasso. Abigail, if you could please stand. So Abby joined the city in April of 2022 and has recently been promoted to permit technician. Abigail is a proud GPISD graduate and loves the community here. If you don't see Abigail at the office, you're probably going to see her around town enjoying some of our local fishing spots or playing with her Datsun whiskey. So we're so glad to have Abby here as our new permit technician. Thank you, Abby. Next is our newest employee. His name is David Haley, back here. David joined us in November. He is our building inspector. He has over 40 years of plumbing experience and most recently worked at the city of Pleasanton. He and his wife of 46 years, Sandra, enjoy fishing in their spare time, and David also serves as a very proud volunteer firefighter in the city of Bayside. So thank you for joining our team, David. And last but certainly not least is our building official, Jody Poth. So Jody has been with the city for about a year. He also has about 30 years of plumbing experience. He holds a Bachelor's of Science from Tarleton State and a Master's of Education from Concordia. So when Jody isn't working, he enjoys family days at Fiesta, Texas with his wife, Jana, and his 10-year-old daughter, Jameson, who's just the sweetest. She wants to be an engineer, just so everybody knows. So anyway, that is our development services team. Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Our next item is recognition of Gary Moore Sr. This is something that I have been looking forward to doing for quite some time, and I would like for Gary to meet me front and center, if you would like, or if you can. Council, would you like to come on down and join us since we're kind of short-staffed?
Beverly, why don't you come down too?
As many of y'all know, Commissioner Moore has served Precinct 2 for 4 years, and prior to that, he served on our Portland City Council. So he's going on to better in things and some hobbies and activities. But I also wanted to invite Beverly up here too, because electeds up here know that your spouse gives up a lot for us to serve. So I want to thank Beverly too. But Gary, in recognition of your service to the city of Portland and to our county, we want to present you with this proclamation, and it reads as follows. Whereas Gary Moore Sr. was elected to the Portland City Council in May of 2006 and served for 12 years until 2018, and during his tenure was elected as Mayor Pro Tem in 2009, served as liaison to the Port of Corpus Christi, as a member of the Coastal Bend Banks and Estuaries Program, and served under a governor's appointment to the Nueces River Authority. And whereas in 2018, he was elected as San Patricio County Commissioner Precinct 2, serving faithfully until 2022. And whereas Gary Moore Sr. has devoted his life to serving others, first representing the insurance industry for 32 years, and then as an elected public servant listening to and working diligently for the public for 16 years. And through his devotion to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church, including membership in the Knights of Columbus, membership in the Quiet Birdmen for Pilots, and the Patriot Guard. And whereas throughout his public career, Gary's success has been assured through the love of his wife, Beverly, and all his children and grandchildren. And now, therefore, on the 17th day of January, 2023, I, Mayor Kathy Scarrow, supported by the Portland City Council, do hereby set my hand and city seal recognizing and thanking Gary Moore Sr. for nearly 55 years of dedicated service to the Texas Coastal Bend, the citizens of Portland, and San Patricio County, and wishing him a happy and prosperous future. Thank you so much, Gary.
Well, that was very nice and well said. Thank you. It's been my pleasure to serve all these years everywhere I did serve, and I had no problem doing it. I enjoyed it every minute, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Thank you.
Okay, well, we're going to remember that. So. You may be called to action. We're going to go into our city council comments at this time. Councilman Bethel, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. First, welcome to our new employees. I hope you all enjoy the city. It's a great place to be and a great time to be here, and I hope that you agree with that and find it a great place to be and enjoy a long tenure here. And to Mr. Gary Moore, congratulations on your retirement. It's time for you to focus on yourself instead of giving to everybody else. Take some time to enjoy yourself, and I think you will, but wish you all the best, and I'm sure we'll continue to see you both around all over the place around town.
Yeah, I also would like to welcome our new employees. I think you'll find this is a great place to work, even though, y'all been here for a while now, several months. We think it's based on city leadership. That's why it's so great. But no, I'm just kidding. But and then to my dad, congratulations on retirement. Last time he retired, he lasted about a month. So we're 2 weeks in, so we'll see how long it lasts this time. But congratulations, and thanks for everything you do.
Yeah, of course.
I'll echo everyone's comments on the new employees and the promotion. That's excellent stuff. And Mr. Moore, congratulations. Whether you know it or not, you taught me a lot about this, and I'm grateful for that. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you make it more than a month this time.
A similar story here, and I actually
had the pleasure of working with some of Sarah's team. I guess that was about 2 months ago, so I know that we got good new hires and that the community's in good hands. They walked me through all of my various plumbing needs a couple months back and helped me understand, so I appreciate that. And also just, again, thank you and congratulations, Gary. On a side, on the Coastal Bend Air Quality Board, it's for the airshed of Nueces and Sampat County. They're going to be creating the action plan that should last for the next decade or so. And as a part of that, they're going to be setting up various working groups. I believe there's about 10 of them from all different kind of walks of life or shared interests, industry, academia, public health, small business. And if anybody in the audience or y'all know anybody that is interested in that, those working groups are going to kind of put forward what they want to see in terms of improvements in air qualities and programs, and then that'll be rolled up into something for both Sampat and Nueces County, with the focus mostly on ozone and then particulate emissions. So, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Again, Gary, congratulations. We're so honored to have you serve us, and we're going to miss working with you, definitely. Also, new employees and those that were recently promoted, congratulations. Thank you for your service to the City of Portland. And I don't know, Mr. Wright, if you're going to talk more about our open house Thursday evening, so I'm going to let you get into the details, but if you're interested in the future growth of Portland and how we grow, then you need to listen in when Mr. Wright gives his update here in a few minutes. So, all right.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Councilman Moore, Commissioner Moore, again, I want to also echo our congratulations to you and on behalf of the staff here in the city. Thank you for all you did as a council member, as a mayor pro tem for all those years. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support, appreciate your counsel to us, and we want to wish you all the best of luck in the future and have fun. Absolutely. And thank you, Beverly, for supporting him all these years, obviously. Thank you. Just a couple of updates, Mayor. You probably have seen that Flint Hills has now demobilized and removed all their protective booms after the leak that they had near Ingleside on the Bay. We haven't had any report of any damages to our shorelines as a result of that. I think there were a couple of sightings of some small amounts, but apparently none that were debilitating to our shoreline. So I think we did real well through that whole process, luckily. I want to let you know, if you haven't already noticed, our new AV system is up and running. You probably noticed an improvement in the audio in here, and the video, the clarity of the video is all high definition now, streaming out to all our residents. We also are able to stream out to Facebook and to YouTube and other places. And we've also got the ability now to have people call in, either by telephone or on Zoom or Teams or any other conveyance like that, to talk to council and give reports and that sort of thing. So we think this is going to really improve our ability to serve our citizens by having good quality equipment and good quality services here. Mayor mentioned Thursday night we are holding our open house for our comprehensive plan. That's at the community center from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Friesen Nichols, who is our consultant during the comprehensive plan update, will be here as well, and they'll start a presentation at 6:15. And they'll be here to answer questions. We'll have a lot of boards, a lot of information about what's in the comprehensive plan, what it means to residents, and why it's so important for residents to have input into this plan, to have your voice heard in terms of where Portland goes. How do we develop? We've had a comprehensive plan for a number of years, but we periodically update that and kind of reset our focus. And this is a period of time where citizens have the opportunity to do that. And once we finish with that open house, there'll be some materials online that are available to residents as well, where they can continue the dialogue, giving input to the new comprehensive plan. We call that Plan 2040. And it's because the plan really reaches out to about 2040. in terms of how we're going to develop as a city through that period of time, and we'll update that through the years, but right now that's the one we're looking at, and hopefully we'll be able to approve that near the end of the year. I wanted to let you know also, I know Annette's not here tonight, but on February 7th, we will officially call the May elections for City Council. Council member terms for Bill Wilson, John Green, John Sutton, and Troy Bethel will be on the ballot. And January 18th is the first day for filing for a place on the ballot. Just heard before the meeting started from Dr. Banks that our contractors that have been working on our lighting systems for our ground storage tanks and elevated tanks have got those lights on, at least on the ground storage tanks tonight. They're all white, but as soon as we get those all programmed up, we're going to see quite a sight. I mean, we're going to have a versatility with our tank lighting that I don't think any other city around this area has, so that's going to be nice. So if you see lights on, they're not all on, or they look kind of skewed, it's only because we're testing them, and within a week or two, hopefully we'll have that working where everything looks nice. And I also want to say just a word about the changes that we implemented on January 1st for our waste services here in Portland. We have implemented a new plan. There was a lot of rollout. There was a lot of information given to citizens. That information was actually mailed to every residence here in town that gives a rundown of how we collect our waste services. And a couple of changes that occurred were that, first of all, bulk pickup is going to be picked up one time a month throughout the entire city. And it's going to be picked up during the first week of every month. And the reason we're doing it that way, just as a recap for our citizens, is that heretofore we've had problems with bulk sitting out the curb for long periods of time. And we've had cases where bulk gets put out after the truck goes by for that particular week, for that particular section. And that bulk may sit out for another month. And there was really no way for us to see when it was put out, and there was really no control over that. So now, under the new plan, what we're able to do is the set-out time for everyone in Portland is the last weekend of the month before the new week starts. And you'll have an opportunity to put that out. Everything will be picked up in 1 week. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but everything will be picked up in 1 week. Therefore, we'll know when bulk is put out illegally, and we'll have code enforcement available to try to police that, to try to keep our city looking better, looking cleaner. Now, what happened this time around, our very first attempt at this new schedule, we had a freeze. We had a major freeze, and we had an awful lot of vegetation that put out. So we allowed citizens to combine their vegetation with the bulk this time only. But going forward, vegetation, limbs, leaves, all those kinds of things will be picked up on a quarterly basis. And our first quarterly pickup will be in March. That's not to say we're not going to have some special events for the city where people can bring their limbs and that sort of thing, including bulk pickup. But in terms of just routine, vegetation would be picked up on a quarterly basis. And that's consistent with most of the cities around us. I will also let you know, and the council knows this, that we're also making improvements to our Public Works Center. And part of the Public Works Center improvements that we're going to talk a little bit more about tonight is the Phase 2, which includes a citizen drop-off area. And so what will happen is, once that's completed, citizens will be able to come virtually every day, during the week at least, and drop off materials, back up and drop off materials anytime. They don't have to wait until the next pickup to bring their bulk in, or even their leaves. So that's coming, and we'll hear more about that. So just as a reminder, beginning next month, the first week of February will be the bulk pickup week. That's the only week when you can put out bulk, and it'll all be picked up. We've been rest assured by Republic that it'll all be picked up in 1 week beginning February. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Just, if you look at your calendar, I just want to clarify the week. So February 1 is on a Wednesday. So that means that everybody has to have their stuff out the 28th and 29th of
No.
January? So,
No. Shelby, you've got that on the Recycle app? And I'll let Shelby talk about
the
this.
first week, because that's confusing, what that
absolutely.
means, the first week. I don't know, you know.
It shows a purple dot, or if you get on our website, portlandtx.gov/waste schedules, there's a purple dot on February 5th. So it's the Sunday of the first full week of the month.
Right.
Okay.
So February 5th is the first Sunday of the first full week of the month.
Okay.
Therefore, that's set out date, but you can
Okay.
start setting out Saturday at 12 p.m. through that Monday at 7 a.m. for public services starts pickup then, and it'll be finished.
Okay, that's what I clarify. It's the first full week.
And I do want to encourage people to download that app. It's very easy. It's called Recycle Me, and Recycle Me, Recycle Coach. I'm sorry, Recycle Coach, and pick out Portland. It drop on the drop down. You get notifications of when your trash is due out. Gives you all your scheduling, everything you need. And if there's a miss for some reason, you have some other issue, you can actually message through that app to let Republic know and let the city know that there's been a problem that you need to take care of.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Item number 7 is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make public comment for an item that is not appearing on the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to item number 8, minutes of the previous meetings. City Council will consider approval of the minutes of its January 3rd, 2022, it should be 2023, regular meeting.
A motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilman Sutton to approve the minutes of the January 3rd, 2023 regular meeting. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Bethel.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Item number 9 is a public hearing. City Council will conduct a second public hearing to solicit comments from citizens and other interested parties concerning the proposed annexation of approximately 1,279 acres of land lying adjacent to the city of Portland, Texas, into the territorial limits of Portland, Texas, Phase 2. It is 7:22 p.m. We're going to recess our city council meeting and go into the public hearing. Ms. Munoz, you're doing, okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second public hearing for the proposed annexation of 1,279 acres into the City of Portland city limits. We're referring to this phase of annexation as Phase 2. Please note development agreement applications have been mailed to the property owners and are in the agenda packets. We've also mailed a copy, we've also placed a copy of this agreement on our city website. In September of 2022, City Council received a presentation from our consultant city planner, Friesen Nichols, outlining an annexation strategy for 3 annexation phases. This public hearing is in advance of a proposed consideration by City Council for annexation of this tract of land on February 7th. We have with us this evening via Zoom Ms. Erica Craycraft and Mr. Dan Sefko with Friesen Nichols. Erica will provide a presentation of the Phase 2 annexation. Erica?
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Again, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we'll look at the purpose of annexation, an overview of the proposed annexation area, highlight some key dates, and address frequently asked questions. There are several reasons why cities annex. It extends the city's development controls like zoning to help manage the development of land and help buffer from surrounding uses. It gives the city additional room to grow and develop. It helps relieve the tax burden on residents by annexing non-residential areas that generate more substantial property and sales tax. And the proposed annexation aligns with the city's comprehensive plan. Phase 2 is the second of a 3-phased approach, more specifically looking at the area in the red circle to the west. This is the city's draft future land use map. As Mr. Wright mentioned, we'll be looking at on Thursday night's open house. Phase 2 is located again in that circled area. The city's current draft of the long-range plan recommends the area primarily for low-density residential uses. The annexation area aligns with the previously annexed FM 893 right-of-way. It extends west, taking in a segment of FM 1074. and north, staying 10 feet east of the County Road 67 right-of-way, and then closes back, aligning with the previous annexations to the north. This area does include 2 residential properties and several oil and gas operations. The city is required to offer development agreements to any property owner with an agricultural, wildlife, or timber exemption. The exempt status is determined by the county appraisal district. It is not determined by the city, and the exemption does exclude any home sites or improvements on the property. For any property owner who signs a development agreement with the city, no city taxes will be assessed, and the area is considered part of the ETJ until it develops for a period of at least 15 years and up to 45 years. This is the second of 2 public hearings on the proposed annexation. In 1 week from today, on January 24th at 5 p.m. is a deadline to request a development agreement. And then 2 weeks later, on February 7th at noon, is the deadline to submit the signed development agreement back to the city. Later that evening, also on February 7th at 7 p.m., City Council will consider adoption of the annexation ordinance. Looking at some frequently asked questions, can I continue my use? Yes, any use that is legal today may be continued. What city services will be provided to land that is annexed? Police, fire, EMS, and garbage collection will be provided, along with road maintenance for any non-TxDOT roads that are annexed. Eventually, water and wastewater service will be available in the area, unless that property is in another service provider's boundary. Am I required to connect to city water and sewer? Generally, no, only if you have a septic tank or a water well that requires major repairs and if those services are available in your area. Am I eligible for a development agreement? Any property owner who has an agricultural, wildlife, or timber exemption from the county appraisal district is eligible for a development agreement. And if you'd like to request the development agreement, you can email or call the city secretary, Annette Hall, at the information on the screen. That concludes my presentation on phase 2. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is a public hearing, and at this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment during this public hearing? Anyone that would like to make comment during the public hearing? All right, hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing. It is 7:27 p.m., and we're going to reconvene our city council meeting, and we'll move on to item number 10. Leisure and Entertainment District Design Contract. The City Council will consider an architectural service final design contract with Richter Architects for the Leisure and Entertainment District redevelopment. Mr. Wright.
Mayor, thank you. During the workshop, the City Council was presented with some conceptual drawings of the development of Old Town, particularly the block that we purchased as a city to create a public space in. This part of the agenda is an opportunity for the council to engage Richter Architects in the design of that project. And I'll turn it over to Brian, let him talk a little bit about the sequencing and the contract itself. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Wright. In the AV room, they're going to switch over the Zoom over to our presentation shortly. There we go. So as Mr. Wright mentioned, during the workshop, the City Council received a presentation on an exceptional design. Richter Architects has developed a conceptual design that is rather exceptional in nature. So how do we turn that design into reality? I want to take a brief step back to figure out how we got to where we are this evening, because this evening, the next 5 agenda items are the springboard to turning this reality into construction and to our citizens enjoying this wonderful space. But really, in September 2019, the City Council engaged Ash and Lime urban planners to develop a reimagined Old Town plan. Old Town used to be the thriving part of Portland in the late 40s and the 50s and the early 60s, and over the years has become dilapidated. And so we wanted to take a look, how do we redevelop this neighborhood? Ash Lime created a plan through significant public input, public listening sessions, engaging the property owners within the Old Town area and then residents throughout the city. That plan ultimately led to the creation of the Portland Old Town Association, which are businesses and residents within that area to help guide this entire process. If you recall, the state legislature passed legislation that allows alcohol that would have otherwise been prohibited to be sold within this geographically defined area. Portland is the only city within the state allowed to do that through that special keyhole legislation that was pushed through by our state legislator and state senator. The preparation for that process was in spring of 2021. That culminated in the election in May of 2022 with the successful passage of that election on May 7th, 2022. Once that occurred, the city began acquiring the property on the block bounded by Elm, Houston, 5th and 6th, which then led the city council earlier this fall, or fall of 2022, to engage Richter Architects for conceptual design. And that's the presentation that you received earlier this evening, the results of that effort. So as we mentioned during the workshop earlier this evening, this project that Richter has presented to you can be broken into two parts. The first would be phase one, which would be the redevelopment of the block bounded by Elm, Houston, 5th and 6th. That would include the streetscapes on all four sides, north, south, east, and west. So you have a contiguous whole project. It would be anticipated that project would be completed and open by November 2024. Running concurrently or after that project as well would be the continuation of constructing and reconstructing streetscapes throughout the Old Town area, throughout the leisure and entertainment district area, so that you've got a walkable, vibrant neighborhood that encourages development, encourages activity, and encourages residents to spend time down in this area. So for the next 22 months, we're laying out a process from now until when residents begin enjoying this area. Initial site work has already started with demolition of a house on the property. I've done some cleaning and other lot improvements. But tonight, again, is really the springboard for three things. Kind of the approval of the Richter design contract, which will lead into their final design. Have received and will receive again a programming presentation on how we continue the momentum through this area and how we engage the citizens through public participation and public involvement through the final design process. And then also, Ms. Sarah Munoz is going to be presenting this evening some revisions to our hike and bike plans, thoroughfare plans, active mobility plans, so that we can attempt to get grant funding for a lot of the streetscape portions of this project, as a phase two portion of this project. Those grant applications are going to be due beginning January 27th, and those will be ongoing throughout this entire process. At the next City Council meeting, the City Council will consider authorization of a CMAR, a Construction Manager at Risk, RFP. That will allow us to get, on March 27th, those firms interviewed so we can engage a construction manager at risk to help guide Richter Architects and their subconsultants during the final design. Sandwiched in between that process is the beginning of the public involvement process through our Families on Fifth series. On April 18th, we're expecting to award the CMAR contract at the City Council meeting, and that will help lead Richter Architects into the final design, and that will occur into the summer, again, dovetailing the public input, the public participation into the final design to make sure that they're on point with ultimately what is constructed. During that time, as we finalize the design on the project, we'll be able to have a little more clarity on the facility operator, whether that's simply for the restaurant or something larger than that, so that this public space is maximized to its fullest extent and is open and available to the maximum practical extent. We're expecting construction of phase one to occur between November 23 and November of 24. And again, that'll be the block plus the 4 streets directly surrounding it, 5th, 6th, Elm, and Houston. We're anticipating substantial completion November 1st of 2024. This is an extremely aggressive schedule. It's kind of a similar kind of process that we use in the community center or for its reconstruction. But we know, we're not going to get this done in a manner unless we set an aggressive schedule on this project. And we're hoping to begin Christmas on the Coast preparations in November of that year, so that we can have the ice skating rink and Christmas tree and all of the wonderful Christmas on the Coast activities, both here in the city complex and in the Leisure and Entertainment District as well in December of 2024. And ongoing through the process will be the Phase 2, the streetscape improvements, and that will be constructed as funding and development occurs throughout the district. The budget that's in your agenda packet is a preliminary in nature. These are just based off of conceptual designs at this point, and of course, any public input or public participation that modifies the design one way or another are going to affect these numbers. But more than anything, wanted to share with you just the potential funding sources. There's about a half a dozen different sources here. So we're going to be cobbling together all of this, about $18 million worth of work all together throughout the district. It's going to take a variety of funding sources in order to do that with minimal impact on our taxpayers and ratepayers. Before we turn it over to Kristen to talk a little more about the Families on Fifth series, the contract that's before you this evening from Richter Architects is our standard AIA contract. It includes all of their subconsultants that are needed for the project, including LJA Engineering, who's the civil subconsultant. And also, they're anticipating on engaging Mark Schauberg, who's been the general manager and owner of Concrete Street, Brewster Street, and other areas. And that's going to help us determine what does a space feel like? How do patrons to the area interact between the public spaces and the restaurant? How do we make sure that what we're designing has vibrancy that people want to go to and is walkable? And so we're really hoping that expertise is going to be helpful. So after Kristen's presentation, city staff does recommend the approval of the contract with Richter Architects. They're here this evening if you have any additional questions. But again, the purpose of the Families on Fifth series that Kristen's going to describe, we want to retain the existing momentum that we have on the project. We just discussed kind of the 3.5 year long process getting to this point. We don't want to have nothing going on within the district while we're going through the final design. So it's going to continue retaining momentum for this process. But then also, equally as important, is going to allow residents to see what is going to go on once this is built. At these events, we'll have storyboards, graphics, interactive displays, so residents can see what's going on. They can make comment on that, give us input, and really help guide Richter Architects in their final design. And then also, lastly, it provides opportunities for existing businesses in Old Town to have patrons come to them, and whether it's a co-sponsored event or something standalone. We're making an investment in Old Town, and hopefully the business owners can reap the benefits of that. And so that I'll turn it over to Kristen, and she'll go through kind of the Families on Fifth series that's going to occur in the spring and the summer of 2023.
Council, I want to first start off and say that these are really exciting times in Portland. And, I've worked here for a little while, and we've done things certain ways for a long time, and times are changing. And as a department director and the folks that work in my department, we're really excited about these new opportunities. So we are going to create opportunities for the Families on Fifth. This is going to be an event series, creating that synergy and the opportunity for people to come to the space, have those experiences. But on the flip side, we're also going to have opportunity to gather public input. We don't want to have events and people come and go, really? This is it? This is what we're doing? No, this is the beginning of something fantastic, and we want to use these opportunities to tell the story. So at all of these events, we will have information, storyboards, collect input, and create that excitement for this space. So our first event will be a St. Patrick's Day celebration. And we are looking at ways to partner with businesses in Old Town. And as you know, Cass Real Estate has for many, many years had their annual St. Patrick's Day mixer. Well, we're joining together. They so graciously offered to allow us to join them. They're going to move across the highway onto this new property, and we're going to have an event together. So the first 2 hours will be the mixer, and then we will have live music that evening. We've decided, in Portland, go big or go home. So we're going to start having more concerts and more fun. So people start thinking, where are we going to go listen to music? They're going to go to Portland. So soon we will be announcing more details on this, but we're really excited about this. This is a free opportunity for all to participate. And so that will be on Friday, March 17th. Next, we'll have a crawfish boil, and you'll see here we will partner with Clayton's Meat Market. Historically, he's done some boils for the public. We reached out to Clayton to see would he like to join together, come over to our property, and we provide an opportunity for the public. And there will be a fee for your plates. We'll get you more details soon, but we will have free live music. Dwayne Dopsy and the Zydeco Hellraisers will be here. If you've seen them at Windfest, they're fantastic. They come out of Louisiana, and they really put on a great show. So this will be a great opportunity. It'll be on Friday, April 14th, and we'll be there from 4 to 8 p.m. So watch for more details on that. And then next, we're gonna have a barbecue cook-off. Now, we could say we're gonna throw a barbecue cook-off. I mean, we could do it, but we're actually gonna work with Battling Barbecue, and they do real sanctioned cook-offs. And so we're looking for a large event that will be going on, and we'll be working with them on that. And so April 28th to 29th, we're looking to have up to 75 vendors participating in this, so we're really excited about that opportunity. And then why not on a Friday, Cinco de Mayo? It's a great opportunity to get together with your friends, have some food trucks, and have a mariachi band as well as other live music. It'll be from 5 to 8 p.m. There for families on 5th. And we invite everyone to come out and participate. It will be free entertainment, but your food and drink will be purchased. And then we are looking at opportunities this summer. We're looking to do things in the evening, whether it be movies, different things like that, and then creating some pop-up shops, some opportunities for the old town businesses to come and participate. Again, just creating those opportunities, those connections. This is a great way for people to come out and meet their neighbors, people who have just moved here, people who have been here for a long time that maybe haven't been in that area. So we're really, really excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Kristen. And again, this is the first of 5 agenda items this evening. This first agenda item would approve the contract with the Richter Architects. The next 4 agenda items that Ms. Munoz is going to cover are really all kind of related. It's about hike and bike and walkability and creating vibrancy between Sunset Lake, the railroad hike and bike, kind of the district-wide street improvements, and also our active mobility plan. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions on the schedule of the process, and the Richters are here to answer any questions on the design as well.
Anybody have questions? Okay. All right, well, we had a really nice, almost hour-long workshop, and we got a lot of questions answered then. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the engagement of Richter Architects for the Leisure and Entertainment District redevelopment final design and authorize the city manager to authorize all necessary contract documents.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Bethel, seconded by Councilman Albrecht to engage Richter Architects for the final design contract and for the Leisure and Entertainment District redevelopment. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Albrecht.
4.
4.
4.
4. 4.
Okay, motion is approved. Item number 11, resolution number 881, Sunset Lake Shared Use Path Project Grant Application. The City Council will consider resolution number 881 that authorizes the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Sunset Lake Shared Use Bike Path. Who's doing that? You are? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This presentation will cover the next 4 agenda items. TxDOT opened a call for projects for the Transportation Alternative Set Aside, or what we'll refer to as the TA program, in December of 2022. Through TxDOT's 2023 call for projects, TxDOT will select projects for recommendation to the Texas Transportation Commission for funds associated with the available FY 2022 through 2023 and the anticipated FY 2024 through 2025 federal appropriations under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, totaling approximately $250 million for this program. So the program provides funding to plan for and construct a variety of alternative transportation projects that improve safety and mobility for non-motorized travelers, and to mitigate congestion by providing safe alternatives to motor vehicle transportation. So there's 4 categories of funding available under this program. Since we're located in what's called a transportation management area, we're not eligible for that first category of community-based funding. Large-scale active transportation infrastructure projects are projects that are eligible for reimbursement for construction and engineering costs. And these projects are large. They range from $5 million to $25 million, and they're all related to bicycle infrastructure improvements, shared use paths, sidewalk improvements, and other non-motorized safety projects. Active transportation enhancements projects are eligible for light construction. So these projects are intended to be a quick turnaround. There's really light design, no right-of-way is required, and it has a minimum of a $250,000 project. So some examples are traffic signal improvements in support of these non-motorized modes, crosswalks, ADA improvements, traffic calming measures. The last category you see there is new to this particular call for projects, and it's the active transportation non-infrastructure category. So these projects are intended to be planning documents to assist communities in developing non-motorized transportation networks. So the minimum project award for this category is $100,000, and examples of this includes safe routes to school plans, pedestrian and bicycle plans, and safety action plans for pedestrians and bicyclists. One more thing new to this call for projects is the transportation development credits, and this is really exciting because projects in communities up to 200,000 in population that meet certain economic criteria are eligible to use this funding to have your project funded 100%, not requiring a local match. And the City of Portland is eligible for these credits. So the resolutions before you today are associated with the first step of a two-step process. Step one is considered the preliminary application, which is due to TxDOT on January 27th. And this is a really high-level, simple application just intended for TxDOT to tell us if we're eligible to continue, if they're eligible projects. So once we're awarded or notified that we can proceed to step two, which is due on June 5th, we would engage a consultant to help us with a much more detailed application because it's a statewide call. So we really want to be competitive in this process. So now we're going to go over the 4 projects that we're proposing. So Resolution 881 is Sunset Lake. So this is a shared use path that connects Indian Point Pier with Sunset Drive, creating a loop with the existing Sunset Lake path. The next resolution, number 882, is also a shared use path that will connect the existing hike and bike infrastructure to Elm Street, which is about 0.2 miles long. And this is really exciting because, as you've heard today, we're really trying to connect to the Leisure and Entertainment District, and that's exactly what this project will do. And also with this resolution, we're requesting to amend the strategic plan for active mobility to include this portion in that plan. Resolution 883, it proposes shared use path and what we're referring to as streetscape in the 8-block radius of the Leisure and Entertainment District that you've heard so much about today. So this project would be designed to provide safe and non-motorized options for residents and visitors to enjoy, in keeping with the walkable theme of the district. This resolution also does amend the strategic plan for active mobility to include these sections in the plan. And last but certainly not least is Resolution 884, and this is a planning project where we would focus on safe routes to schools, hike and bike plans, and other non-motorized transportation modes and putting them all together in one plan. So with that, staff does recommend to adopt a motion authorizing the city manager to submit these applications for the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program. And I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Questions?
Mayor, I'd like to point out that you know, we're at a real advantage here with Ms. Munoz, with Mr. Delat, both being closely associated with the MPO and having a lot of experience in these matters. They are material experts in these grant applications, and so we're in a great position to help with these projects that we've got going forward to our public. So I want to thank them for working on this so hard.
Just clarifying on the timeline, I think, was it in June sometime that we'll know or that these will be awarded, or was that the final submission of the applications?
That's the final submission of step one.
So what
I
is
mean, I'm
the-
sorry, step 2, commission will award the projects in October.
Okay,
the
so
statewide call. So we'll know
that'll still work well with our overall timeline of knowing for sure one way or the other, did we get it or not? And if not, I guess what is next for some of these projects?
If not, for some of these projects, and Mr. Delat will elaborate, we're still eligible to apply for our local MPO call for projects.
Okay.
So you cannot apply at the same time, but we're fortunate, and we've checked with our local MPO, the timelines and right when this one's awarded. So because we're going to spend so much time on these applications, we'll already be poised to have that one ready to go, should we not be selected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's just do item number 11 first. So that's resolution number 881. I'll entertain a motion on that resolution.
I motion to approve resolution number 881, authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Sunset Lake Shared Use Path Project.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilman Sutton to approve resolution number 881. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Bethel.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Item number 12 is resolution number 882, Railroad Shared Use Path Grant Application. The City Council will consider resolution number 882 that authorizes the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for Railroad Shared Use Path Project and amends the City of Portland's adoption of the strategic plan for active mobility to include the Railroad Shared Use Path Project. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 882, authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Railroad Shared Use Path Project and amend the City of Portland's adoption of the strategic plan for active mobility to include the Railroad Shared Use Path Project.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Sutton, seconded by Councilman Albrecht to approve resolution number 882. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Albrecht.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Item number 13, resolution number 883, Leisure and Entertainment District Shared Use Path and Streetscape Grant Application. The City Council will consider resolution number 883 that authorizes the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Leisure and Entertainment District Shared Use Path and Streetscape Project and amend the City of Portland's adoption of the strategic plan for active mobility to include the Leisure and Entertainment District Shared Use Path Project. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion approving resolution number 883, authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Leisure and Entertainment District Shared Use Path and Streetscape Project, and amend the City of Portland's adoption of the strategic plan for active mobility to include the Leisure and Entertainment District Shared Use Path Project.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Albrecht, seconded by Councilman Moore to approve resolution number 883. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Bethel.
Four.
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 Motion is approved. Item number 14 is resolution number 884, Active Mobility Plan Grant Application. The City Council will consider resolution number 884 that authorizes the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for Active Mobility Plan Project. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 884, authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the Texas Department of Transportation for the Transportation Alternatives Program for Active Mobility Plan Project.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Bethel, seconded by Councilman Sutton to approve resolution number 884. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Albrecht.
Four.
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 Motion is approved. Okay. Item number 15, Lang Road Expansion Technical Memorandum and Land and Easement Acquisition Services Proposal. The City Council will consider approval of LJA Engineering, Inc.'s technical memorandum for Lang Road expansion, Stark Road to Midway Road, and consider a land and easement acquisition services proposal from Seven Arrows Land Staff in the not-to-exceed amount of $369,500. Dr. Banks.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The item before you is to discuss the widening of Lang Road. This has been an ongoing project, and LJA has completed the technical memorandum. I would like to point out before we get started that there was a typo in the information that was submitted by Seven Arrows, and the amount is $389,500, not $369,500. Current and upcoming development between Lang Road, on Lang Road between Stark and Midway requires expansion of the roadway from its current two-lane configuration. Staff recommends submitting this project to the Corpus Christi MPO for state and federal funding. On June 21, 2022, Council approved a proposal for LJA to do the surveying and engineering work on this particular project. Preliminary engineering design has been completed, and the next step is to begin the acquisition of the right-of-way. Both of these actions are expected to increase the likelihood of receiving grant funding by demonstrating the project is ready to commence. We're talking about an area here, as you can see, extension of Lang Road all the way to CR 79, so the project is about a 1.2-mile stretch between Stark Road and CR 79. I will turn it over to Seven Arrows here in a second. I will say that the TM is designed for build-out of 4 lanes. The project may begin with 2 lanes with a center turn lane. Recommended configuration ultimately will be provided to council before approval. Seven Arrows did take a look at the proposal for land acquisition services and provided a contracting cost of $389,500. The cost for preliminary engineering, appraisal services, and land acquisition services will come from general fund reserves, street improvement projects, certificate of obligation proceeds, and depending on whether the project receives state and federal funding, it's a possibility to get a reimbursement resolution. So I'll turn it over now. LJA, specifically Jeff Cohen and Donnie Remmett, are here to provide a brief overview of the technical memorandum, and then I'll pick back up with the final motion.
City Council, City Manager, and City Staff. Jeff Coyne with LJA Engineering. As Dr. Banks just mentioned, we were engaged by the City of Portland back in June 2022 to perform preliminary engineering efforts. And basically what that is about a 30% design level, along with information gathering, topographic survey, utility information, and basically looking at what we've got and what it's going to take to get to the 4-lane road that we were striving for here. So we've completed the technical memorandum, and it's included in your packet, I believe, under a hyperlink. So you can view a much more detailed, but I'll just kind of highlight a few of the findings here. As you know, Lang Road is an existing 40-foot right-of-way, typically about 22 feet wide, 1 travel lane in each direction. The stormwater is conveyed by roadside ditches and then culverts under the driveways through the various properties. There's no sidewalks out there. There is an existing 6-inch water line, which is an old ACP line, so it's in need of an upgrade. There's a recently installed 10-inch PVC gravity line, about 420 feet of the total 1.2 miles of the project, so it doesn't even extend very far into the down Lang Road. There's gas lines that are owned by CenterPoint, ranging in diameter of 3.5 inches to 10 inches. These will require relocation efforts, and we'll get into that and the cost of that in a little bit. There is substantial AEP infrastructure through this corridor. Most of you probably know on the south side of Lang, there's these major transmission lines that are basically metal poles with big concrete foundations, and to get that moved is going to be really, really difficult and expensive. So we've designed a plan and laid out a footprint that'll work around that. And on the north side, there's just your traditional wood and secondary type transmission lines, and those are relocatable and will need to be relocated for the expansion. We'll talk a little bit about the proposed roadway section. We plan to expand this to 90 feet of right-of-way, taking approximately 30 feet out of the south and 20 feet out of the north, and that varies a little bit through the corridor. But a total of 90 for the entire project, and that's to accommodate the 4 lanes that we have, along with a 10-foot hike and bike trail on the south side, which will be on the opposite side of that major transmission line I was talking about. The only way we can really fit all this in is to leave that in place. So if you look at that cross section that's in front of you, I know it's pretty small, but there's another one blown up in the report. But basically, that 10-foot trail is a shared use path for hike and bike and those sorts of things, and it's going to be back behind. And it actually works out well because it separates it from vehicular traffic pretty good with that buffer. And then on the north side, we're going to have a traditional 5-foot tied sidewalk to the back of curb there. The roadway that we're proposing is going to be a hot mix roadway, so it's a flexible finished surface. Essentially, it's about 4 inches thick, 9 inches of limestone, geogrid, and compacted lime subgrade. So it's going to be much stouter than what's out there now and should last about a 30-year design life on that. We'll also have ADA ramps that are compliant, so accessibility will be maintained throughout this entire corridor. Concrete driveways will be replaced where there are concrete driveways and where there are asphalt driveways or even existing gravel driveways. So everything's going to get an upgrade out there. Next slide, please. This is just a little bit of a plan view, kind of color coding some of the improvements there and just some labeling so you can get an idea of how many driveways, how many, I didn't mention the storm sewer, that's a big one. So we're going to go from those roadside ditches I mentioned to a traditional curb and gutter system that overland flows it into the street and then into the curb inlets and ultimately into an RCP system underground with a discharge point off-site. So the drainage will be improved substantially. And of course, everything is going to get fresh paint and striping and throughout this entire area, pavement markings and the like. There will also be AEP lighting that goes into this, so there'll be a substantial increase in the lighting out there to make the corridor safe and compliant. And now the most important thing, what does all this cost, right? So we've done preliminary estimates of the opinion of probable cost, and we're estimating that this hot mix road is going to come in just under $9 million. And that's, I believe, they're asking for the full amount in the grant. But this is necessary to submit that grant and set that bar so we know what we're looking at. There's also the private utility relocation efforts that I talked about, and those are summarized. You know, obviously, these private providers will do their own relocations. And those sorts of things, they will give us a price. We've priced these based on previous projects similar to that. So you've got the gas lines that are going to need relocations in several areas. You've got some communication and IT upgrades throughout the corridor. And you've got the AEP overhead lighting that I discussed earlier. And the total amount for that was about $1.85 million. So that concludes our finding. Well, one more thing, the schedule. So we have the right-of-way acquisitions estimated around 12 months. Sometimes those can run a little bit longer, as we've seen with Stark Road, but hopefully not. And then the grant application, it's kind of a TBD thing. You submit those, and hopefully, you know, you just got to wait and hear back from them. Design and construction, when we get to that part, we're going to be, and that'll take it the other 70% to give full set of construction plans. We'll be looking about a 2-year duration there.
Can I chime in on the MPO grant portion real quick? We did have an informal meeting with the MPO several weeks ago to talk about this project. The MPO does have a category of funding for off-system roadways, which this is an off-system from TxDOT, which would be 100% reimbursable, which is different than the typical 80-20 split. In talking with the executive director of the MPO, it was recommended that we go ahead and get all of the right-of-way acquired, get that done prior to trying to include it on the MPO's Transportation Improvement Plan. That way we don't have to go through state or federal right-of-way processes or state or federal environmental clearances. We do those using our own local policies. So, you know, we hope to have this on the 4-year tip at the conclusion inclusion of all the right-of-way acquisition.
Can I ask a quick question? This is more about the grants. The utility relocations for CenterPoint or AEP, are those not eligible for the grant? Is that where they were split out, or was that just for us to be able to see kind of the cost breakdown between the actual road itself and those relocations?
We may have to split the funding between different TxDOT categories, which have different reimbursement levels. We'd like to try to get all of it under the 100% reimbursable, but those are different because those are also payments directly to AEP or CenterPoint or the franchise utilities rather than your typical design bid build construction cost.
Where are you proposing to take the funds for the land acquisition? Where would that come from until you could be reimbursed by a grant?
General fund reserves until.
General fund reserve. Okay. And if those acquisitions happen before the grant's approved, would we be eligible for reimbursement?
We'll try our best.
That's, okay. Not a for sure thing, so. Okay. Good. Any other questions? Good. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the technical memorandum for Lang Road expansion, Stark Road to Midway Road, dated January 2023, prepared by LJA Engineering, authorizing the city manager to execute all contracts, documents, and pavements for the land and easement acquisition services for the Lang Road expansion as provided by Seven Arrows Land Staff LLC in the not-to-exceed amount of $389,500.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Sutton, seconded by Councilman Moore to approve the Lang Road Expansion Technical Memorandum and Land and Easement Acquisition Services Proposal. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Bethel.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Thank you very much. Item number 16 is ordinance number 2277, revising solid waste rates. The City Council will consider the first reading of ordinance number 2277, revising solid waste rates. Ms. Martin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back in June of 2022, City Council authorized City Manager to execute a new 5-year agreement with Republic Services to provide our solid waste disposal and collection for our Portland residents. The date of those service changes was January 2023, and also those new service rates went into effect at that time as well. And those can be seen in Exhibit B of the contract that is attached to your agenda. So tonight, Ordinance 2277 simply will update the city's master fee schedule to reflect those rates that were previously approved. So again, those were effective in January, which means that they will be reflected on the February billing for our residents. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2277. The second reading will take place on February 7th. I believe Mike Reeves of Republic is here tonight to answer any questions you might have on the use service agreement or the rates.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Would you like to say something, Mr. Reeves? More than welcome. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, visitors. Just wanted to everyone know the result of the first collection go-round change is awesome. But I will let you know that if anyone's interested as to how much debris we picked up in January versus last year in January. It was 85 tons versus 65 tons, so an additional 20 tons as a result of the freeze or any other debris that was put out. We did the entire city collection in almost 9 days versus an entire month that we did last year. So just to put that in perspective, we did have to bring in additional resources in to accommodate that. Appreciate your patience, but we also needed yours to accomplish this. So we had a great staff. We were able to make it happen. Your city staff did a wonderful job in communication with our team, and so I want to thank y'all for that, but just wanted to give you an update. We got through it. It's going to take a little while, but I know that everyone will be looking forward to that first spring brush collection in March. But keep in mind, keep pushing the bulk the first week of every month, okay? And we'll get there. Thank you. You have a great evening.
All right, thank you very much.
I was going to ask him something.
Don't.
I'm not going to let you off that. I saw you running. No, quick question. Appreciate the update, really do. Any way, you don't have to come present to us, but you could just provide like a quarterly update? That way we can, because we start in January, so it's really a good opportunity for a baseline all the way through the year, right?
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Good. Any other questions for Mr. Reeves? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate
Just one quick comment. Sorry.
We'll stay here for another, okay.
I actually did receive, multiple comments from folks around the neighborhood just talking about how quickly the trash got picked up, and we were able to explain to them that that's kind of the plan going forward. So even in the first month, it's been noticed by the community. So
Good.
It appears to be working, and thank you.
We'll spread that to our drivers and our supervisors. Thank you for the feedback. Okay. Last round? Okay, thank you all so much. Okay.
I've got a question for Miss Martin. No, for Miss Martin, or maybe you, depending on what her answer is, I guess. Can you mentioning it? These are 3.5% increases.
Not necessarily. I think there was a new cost of service model that went into effect.
Okay, so it's the new cost.
Correct.
Okay, understood. Because I was looking at some of these and I'm like, these are not 3.5%. Okay.
All right. And I just want to take this opportunity to commend city staff, especially Shelby O'Brien, on the excellent rollout of the information. This is a huge undertaking when you're getting an entire city to change how we've been, doing solid waste for many, many, many years. So we're going to go through some learning curves, but I'm fully convinced that we're going to look back and say we should have done it sooner, and because this is going to bring a lot of efficiency. And it's going to beautify our city, and so I think we're on a path. So thank y'all very much for getting that information rolled out. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2277 that revises solid waste services rates.
Second.
So motion made by Councilman Moore, seconded by Councilman Albrecht to approve the first reading of ordinance number 2277. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Albrecht.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Mr. Delat, can you read the caption into the record?
An ordinance revising rates for the provision of solid waste service, providing for the repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date and publication.
Okay, thank you very much. Second reading will be at our next city council meeting. Item number 17 is Police Department Axion Body Worn Camera and Camera Video Recording Solution purchase. City Council will consider the purchase of the Axion Body Worn Camera Video Recording Solution in the amount of $196,495.03. Mr. Elliott.
We come to you this evening seeking authorization to execute another 5-year contract with Axon. These are for the body-worn camera systems. This contract is an as-a-service contract, so the hardware will all be refreshed twice during this contract. We have 2 generations of body cameras currently in use. One of them's getting pretty dated, but it should make it to the first hardware refresh in a little over about 1.5 years. This slightly increases the monthly payment. It was a budgeted expense, but by locking it in on the 5-year contract, we can control that cost over time. This also includes things like the evidence storage solution, evidence transfer solution for the prosecutors, as well as auto redaction components. One of the things that was really challenging for manpower at the police department prior to implementing these auto redaction tools was it was a significant manpower load to provide all of the personal identification information redaction required for every single one of these that's produced for a case or a public request. So all of those components are included. That also includes repair and replacement as needed throughout the life of the contract. And that's an annual payment of $42,649.52. So again, we're seeking your approval to execute the contract for 5 years and make the purchase.
Any questions?
We have one quick question. I don't know if I realized or remembered that we had a service now to do like the redaction and things. So do they do that, or is it more of a technology aspect that, like, is it a physical person doing it, or is it the technology doing it?
It's a technology component, and essentially, I'll give you an example. On a typical DWI video, we had a patrol sergeant spending sometimes upwards of 2 to 4 hours to do the redactions. Now they're able to do it in somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes.
Okay.
It's an AI-driven tool, and instead of having to constantly move a blur around, you blur what you need to, and as it moves through the frame, the AI does all the redactions forward. There's still a process to it. It's still manpower consumptive, but it reduces it significantly.
Good. Well, I know that for a while there, the trend with, and I guess it probably hasn't stopped, with public information requests and requesting long amounts of video and things like that is extremely taxing on the workforce. So it's good that we have at least some relief on that.
Yeah, and it's a little more complicated than just blurring a video. An example would be the radio traffic from the officers. When they're running license plates, driver's licenses, things like that, you have to redact the audio along with the video. And we're still producing two different products. We're producing a public consumption product, and then we're producing an unredacted evidence product for prosecutors. So the officers themselves do part of it by tagging the videos, but without the AI system, we were really in a manpower crunch. Essentially, we were using at least one full-time patrol supervisor to keep up with redactions.
Wow.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to authorize the purchase and execution of a 5-year contract for the Axon body-worn camera system equipment and services in the amount of $196,495.03.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Bethel, seconded by Councilman Sutton, to approve the purchase of the Axon body-worn camera video recording solution in the amount of $169,495.03. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll begin the vote with Councilman Bethel.
Four.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Thank you. Item number 18 is an executive session. The City Council will conduct an executive session according to Government Code as authorized by Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, 551.073, deliberation regarding prospective gift, 551.074, personnel matters, 551.076, deliberation regarding security devices, and 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. It is 8:18 p.m. We're going to recess our city council meeting and go into executive session. Mr. Wright, do you anticipate any action as a result of this executive session?
I don't anticipate any action, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. All right.